Is self-doubt a truly constant companion for you? Is it a reflection of your capabilities or a manifestation of your fears? And if so, what is the nature of your fear? Today, I want to unpack a little bit of self-worth, imposter syndrome, and how it affects us. And of course, what are the things that we can do to be able to, move past them? 70% of people suffer from imposter syndrome, yet we don't really talk about this because it's that deep secret that most of us feel ashamed of sharing with our partners, our colleagues, or even in the world, because we believe that showing people that we feel that we are not good enough makes us not good enough to do whatever it is that we're setting ourselves out to do. Now, again, these studies that suggest that 70% of people experience imposter syndrome look at minorities and women and find that these individuals suffer more of imposter syndrome. And again, the feelings of not belonging raise and become more prevalent in their lives and prevent them from moving forward and doing the things that they want to be doing. So imposter syndrome for me is definitely something that I've suffered for. When I was climbing the corporate ladder, I remember measuring myself up against others and thinking, oh, do I belong in this room? Or what if they find out I am not qualified to be in this room? Such a common thought for other women, and most of us really prevent us from moving forward. And here's the challenge, right? When we have this syndrome of imposters, it can really, again, keeps us stuck, and it makes this whole vicious circle of we feel stuck, then we feel we're not good enough, we feel not good enough, we don't take the next step, then we're stuck, and we go round and round and round and round. So today I want to really talk about this fear of failure, because my friend, fear of failure is something that we all experience, and none of us wake up being competent at everything. And on the contrary, we have to practice, the consistent practice, consistent action, right, makes you competent. And when you become competent, you can become confident. Now, I didn't hear this or come up out of it on my own, right? This is something that I heard, I believe, from Ali Abdaal. And I love that concept because as a tiny habits coach, I know that when we are afraid of doing the thing, we really either go big or go home and fail, and then we retreat, or we don't even take the first step. But we have to practice in order to gain that confidence, in order to see that record of effectiveness, the evidence that we're good. So if you're feeling a lot of this fear that you're going to not be enough, that you're not going to be able to do it, is really important to, number one, notice that you're feeling that fear, because the next thing that you are experiencing when you're stuck in imposter syndrome is the anxiety, the stress. And if you already have stress over other things in your life, this is going to increase it. For a lot of individuals as well, that fear and that stress and that anxiety comes from being perfect. And none of us are perfect. Newsflash, none of us. It is an unrealistic standard to think that we can have it all, do it all, and that other people notice that we are not capable. That's what perfectionism is. I heard not too long ago, John Lee Dumas say that perfectionism is being a coward. And that has stuck with me because for so many years of my life, I have decided that everything needed to be perfect. Everything needed to be just so in order for me to take the next step. But nothing is ever going to feel like, the stars are aligning. There's always going to be something that we're going to find fault with. Many women don't start their business because they're waiting for the perfect time. I was like that. I wanted to go out on my own and really be able to impact the world in my own way outside of the corporate job that I had. But I didn't take that step because I wanted myself to have all the knowledge. I wanted everything to have the perfect website, to have the perfect logo, to know 100% what I was doing. So that perfectionist kept me again from moving forward. Now, a lot of our success, right, comes from luck as well. Sometimes we are in the right place at the right time, or we have external help and we don't give ourselves enough credit. We think that we are successful because of that person. We are successful because someone else helped us. We have to really pause and look and say, good job, Julie. You did it. Or look at me go. And the more that we practice acknowledging ourselves for the good that we have done, for the steps that we've taken forward, the more that we will understand that we can do it. We can move ahead. Now, one other thing that comes up for me when we're talking about perfectionism and when we're talking about the moving forward is that a lot of us will be using negative self-talk. If we talk to our loved ones in the way that we talk to ourselves, we really would be at odds with a lot of people. I know that for me, I am the meanest person when it comes to really telling myself what I'm not good at, that I don't do the things right, that I will never measure up, that people don't like what I do. And that negative self-talk then creates this feeling of unworthiness inside us. When I catch myself, because by the way, negative self-talk is not something that we overcome. It's something that we can become aware of and then look at other ways of overcoming, right? So let's look at the times in which we criticize ourselves. Let's look at the times in which we say the things that are not very nice. And number one, pause and notice it, right? And then normalize that you're not broken for having negative self-talk. You are actually normal. And then figure out what the next best thing is. Maybe if you called yourself dumb, say, you know what? I'm not dumb. I'm just learning, right? I'm a beginner. Find ways in which you can change the negative self-talk and the narrative. And perhaps as you move forward and you're still dealing with this perfectionism and the imposter syndrome, look at yourself and wonder, is my imposter syndrome coming from my fear of success? Because what happens when we succeed, right? Some individuals really fear success and they will worry that they will have more people looking at them. They will have more expectations, more things on top of them. And then they step back and they say, I can't do it because they're looking at maybe what could happen in the future, what people will expect from them, what they will not be able to fill the shoes if they start to succeed. So imposter syndrome will hinder your growth because we avoid opportunities to maybe collaborate with people. We avoid opportunities to challenge ourselves. We also avoid getting promoted, putting ourselves out there, or leadership roles that are available, whether it be in our community, in our jobs, or even within our entrepreneurial journey. Now, stop self-sabotaging. Instead of putting your efforts into succeeding, I want you to start to put your efforts into looking at your failures as the springboard for finding new ways of not failing, of ways that we can do it differently. And know that the more that you practice, right, after you fail, the faster you can get up, the better you will be at moving past that imposter syndrome. Now, for me, I know that I heard one of the stories, and I believe it is Olympian that said this, that she lost and got a silver medal, not because the first place winner didn't fall just like she did. But the difference between the two of them is that the first place winner stood up first when she fell, as opposed to her. And sometimes staying stuck when we fall is really what prevents us from being able to hit the finish line. Imposter syndrome is never going to leave, like I said before. So I want you to think of different ways, again, of noticing it, but also because it's going to increase your stress level, I want you to find ways in which you can combat some of these feelings. Perhaps it could be journaling. Perhaps you can do some meditations or some mindfulness or go for a walk. When you're feeling that imposter syndrome pulling you down and your voice saying you're not enough, who do you think you are, or you'll never make it, change the narrative. Go for a walk. Stop that narrative in its tracks. And that can happen through deep breathing. I am telling myself I am not good enough. And then you can also counter some of these negative self-talk by coming up with new scripts. Perhaps you want to notice the things that you're able to do that. Perhaps you notice also how you are progressing, how you're moving from yesterday, I could not do a squat. Today, I'm doing 2 squats. And that's just a silly example, but you get the gist of it. Your personal relationships are going to be something also that will help you get past imposter syndrome. Because when you find your people, even though you still have a fear of inadequacy, right? You will find that these people will pull the best in you and will remind you what your gifts are. Now, a lot of relationships may not be the best relationships. If you're finding that people are critical of you and your efforts and don't get your goals, begin to question if this is really the place where you should be, and that if these individuals are really lifting you up as opposed to keeping you stuck. Now, if you also have difficulty accepting praise, which is something that happens to many women in particular, be gracious. Pause. A lot of times people will say, oh my God, that was so great. And I will be the first one to say, oh no, that was terrible. However, if you pause and notice that you're about to not accept the praise, take a deep breath again. And remember that it may feel uncomfortable today, but if you accept it and you look at it with curiosity and say, well, did I really do that? Do I really deserve that? Maybe you don't believe that you do today, but the more that you look at what you're able to accomplish and create that evidence that you're doing things, you are going to find that you have more proof of your capabilities as opposed of your inadequacies. So let's explore the things that we can do. I love it when I find ways in which I can celebrate my wins. There's so many different failures that I've had. There's so many different ways in which I know that I am not where I would like to be. But if I want to get to that point, I have to be willing to know that I will be uncomfortable, that I will fear that I'm not good enough, that I will fear that all of the things. But one single small step forward reminds me that I have the courage to, well, step out and shine. Because imposter syndrome says we are tainted, that we could never shine, but all of us have the ability to shine. Now, I want you to think about one strategy that you can implement for your life. Will it be finding community that can help you? Or is it about noticing and being curious about your self narrative and what you say to yourself? Is it about your fear of perfectionism? The sooner you find in the ways that you are allowing this imposter syndrome to really be a part of your life, the sooner you can start to find ways to change that and to step outside and go after your dreams, to not be stuck. And the beauty of it is that when you are not stuck, people get inspired by you. People also come alongside of you, and you can create a larger impact in this world. Now, I do have other videos, and I want you to go check out the video specifically when I'm talking about dopamine, because that video Chemicals in our brain also have an effect on how we act every day and our motivation. So check out that video. And if you want more, make sure that you leave a comment because I want to know how you are feeling and when you feel the most imposter syndrome. Really, this is a conversation. Let's talk about it.
Hi, everybody. I know that sometimes we get very lonely in this entrepreneur journey, and I want to invite you to join us into our limited time only Purposeful You Mastermind. For many of us entrepreneurs, we believe that we can do it all, but the reality is that doing it alone only creates a lot of overwhelm. So join us at the Purposeful You Mastermind. You can find out more information by going to bit.ly/Julie's Mastermind. This is going to be the place where you are able to then unlock your full potential and achieve long-term success for your business. Push you behind your current limits, expand your connections, discover new ideas, and implement them with confidence. You're going to get the support in all aspects and transforming you to the six-figure business you've been looking for. Pause and get off the hamster wheel if you've been spinning around. This is a time where you can get that support from like-minded entrepreneurs that are here to join you in your journey. Together, we can challenge the assumptions and land the speaking engagements and opportunities we want to grow our business and make an impact in the lives of people. See you then. Remember, you can find the mastermind at bit.ly, Julie's Mastermind.